everybody, this is Francesco Abbruzzino with Suncoast News and Scoop. And today we're going to talk about two land deals that are going on in Venice that have been in the news lately. One being the property next to Fox Lea Farms, which is upsetting some sawgrass folks and the Fox Lea folks. And then we're going to talk about Habitat for Humanity and a piece of land that they've had for a few years that they're suing the city of Venice over. And we'll look at both and see what is going on. So let's start over here. This is Fox Lea. This is the property. You may not recall back in what was it? I think it started in 2017, and then again in 2021 they came back and said, look, we want to build there. Sawgrass wasn't really happy with it. They came up with some issues with Longo, the Dick Longo out there, but to me, not really huge issues, non-issues. Fox Lea was throwing a fit though, and they made a lot of concessions for Fox Lea. In my mind, they made more than enough concessions. I know we don't like to hear development, but when you buy the land and you got state laws and stuff, you got to follow them. Fortunately for Fox Lea, they're paying Boone a lot of money, and he's put up a good case for them fighting against this 85 home subdivision that wants to build next to Fox Lea on the property up there, and it's by Wyndham Development. They got a couple of developments here in Sarasota County. Most of them are up in Michigan though. And what they wanted to do is they had I think it was Monday, they had a Zoom meeting, and they want to pursue a rezoning of the property, or zone the property in a part to change the project's trajectory. And this while they're out there trying to sue the city of Venice over the last issue. And I guess arbitrary came in and said, look, basically sided against the city of Venice, and that city of Venice still held firm, and that's what's bringing on the lawsuit. Many of these they tend to lose. So this is a land, it was annexed back in 2008, and here's the controversy. It was annexed from the county, and it had an open use estate zoning. But it cannot be developed until the city of Venice approves a new city zoning, which they have not done in several attempts with these people coming here. Why it hasn't been done is beyond me. And I do recall watching the videos and the hearings back a couple of years ago, back in, or maybe it was last year in 2021. So, so they did this in 2019. They came back in 2021. They're trying to get this done. There's been several attempts with the compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood, which is Fox Lea and Sawgrass. For Fox Lea, what they've done is they've gone in and offered a few concessions on fencing and buffering, stipulations covering the type of house that would be built. I remember that. They were trying to tell them what kind of house to build, where the angle can go. They'll have to deal with the loud music. They can't do things that would disrupt the horses at Fox Lea. Then there was the water table and indirectly impacting the soil of Fox Lea, and that had to be a concern. And basically they were holding this developer basically hostage, saying, well, you can't upset our horses, and if we play music, you gotta, for our horse things, you just gotta accept it and move on. And to me, it was a bit one-sided, and Fox Lea was, I understand they don't want the property developed, but they were just putting out too many conditions out there in my mind, and that's probably why they lost arbitration. Again, I've been here since the early 80s. Nobody likes all the development, but there's a time when you got to look at state laws, different laws, look at who's buying the property, and just try to work with them in order to get it done without suits and all the controversy. I think, in my opinion, Fox Lea just pushed it way too much. Now they're proposing a 5-acre section of parcel that abuts against Fox Lea. You'll see it right here on this map up here against Fox Lea Road. And they're saying, all right, instead of building a bunch of homes, we're just going to build, I think it's 5, and they're going to be 1-acre homes, partial homes. And the owners of those homes, those 5 homes, would legally be allowed to connect to the Murphy Oaks and Fox Lea Drive right there. As part of the unit development agreement, there would be no access from the proposed homes to Fox Lea Drive, okay? So they're out there and they're throwing that out there now, so the city council has to look at it and see, what do we want to do? Is it better to settle and do this and say, hey, look, Fox Lea, they made a ton of concessions with you. It's time for you to give an inch, or do you want to fall through with the suits and see what happens? On the other piece of property, it's Loveland here, or not Loveland, Habitat for Humanity. This is a nice parcel of land. It's right on Laurel. and Knight's Trail. When you go to make a left there to go to the gun range, or the dump is all the way down there at Knight's Trail. Um, this is a little bit different here. What happened is the council, first of all, it's a little confusing. The council, or the city of Venice, was donated the land, so they didn't buy it. There was no money out of pocket, maybe taxes, whatever the city pays. I don't even know. They gave it to Habitat for Humanity with the condition that they would have to pay the taxes, take care of the zoning, do all that stuff, any fees associated with it, and they could build their houses there. And this was an attempt to get Habitat for Humanity to build houses within the city. They've been trying to do this for years, but they've run up against numerous issues and challenges, sewer, different connections, and basically contractors pulling out, deals not working out the way they wanted to. So they want to cut their losses, and they have something like 14,000 and some other fees, and they want to sell the property. And originally, I think it came across to me like they wanted to sell it and keep the money. Well, the property is valued, I believe someone came out and consultant said it's valued around 1.2 million. So that's not going to happen. Hollick spoke at this, and someone sent me his long speech. I think it was former Councilman Daniels, and he came out and urged that the city needs to retain controls of the funds that they generate from the sale, and they can't just hand it all over. If they sold it, it's the taxpayers' cash, not a private organization. They should consider giving it to someone like Family Promise that just bought 10 cottages from Mike Miller, and they're making those for affordable housing. I think I did a story. I know I did a story. I'll put a link to it on my website. And they should do something like that. He also said the Venice Housing Authority maybe keeping money in there. Habitat for Humanity is all about the sell because they can get their money as long as they get their money. Few people were on board with them. Again, who was a council member, Pashota, he spoke up and said that the important that Habitat be made whole, but he wanted the city to retain control of the remaining proceeds. Joe Newender, council member Joe Newender, noted that the city has no money invested in the land since the parcel was acquired by donation, so there's a lot more flexibility. He really wants Habitat for Humanity to focus on building within the city to get affordable housing there versus Northport, South Venice, and other areas that they've been building. I guess they're opening up a new or groundbreaking on a new home on Bahama Street in South Venice this Friday, which is tomorrow. Helen Moore, she's a liaison between, she's a council member and a liaison with the Venice Housing Authority, wanted to see the city start its own fund to assist in housing projects. So there is traction where they're out there and trying to do the right thing and get affordable housing. It's just a process to go about it. And that Habitat for Humanity is a strange one because the city got the property for free. They gave it to the Habitat to build. Now they just want to sell it and give Habitat the money or expenses they incurred, and then start a fund. And I believe it was Frank, the lady that is a substitute council member, the council members voted her in when Brian resigned. She basically said, hey, there's other organizations out there that could use this money. Why are we focusing on Habitat? And like Family Promise that just came through with the 10 cottages. I think Family Promise is involved with the FHP in South Venice, where they want that lease is up with the FHP, so they're looking at turning that into a transitional homeless housing development. They're with the county and city and different organizations. So there you go. What are your thoughts on all this? This has been Francesco Abbruzzino. Oh, wait, before I do that, I'll put a link to the Herald stories on these, and I'll try to find that old one on the Promise with the cottages. And that's it. This has been Francesco Abbruzzino with the Suncoast News and Scoop.